Hello, once again, everybody. Steve Peliquin taking a look at what's happening around the Sun Belt Conference this week in college softball action. Louisiana's Raging Cajuns, of course, on the road this weekend. Cajuns travel to Tuscaloosa, Alabama to take on the Alabama Crimson Tide in a three-game weekend non-conference series. If you hadn't heard yet, that series, which was originally scheduled for single games Friday night, Saturday afternoon, and Sunday afternoon, has been changed to a Saturday doubleheader beginning at 1 o'clock, a single game Sunday also at 1 o'clock. You can hear the games are right on ESPN 1420 and ESPN1420.com. Expecting some cold weather in Tuscaloosa on Friday. Looking for an afternoon high on Friday, right at about 44. An early morning low on Saturday morning, right at about 25. So I think they wisely decided to go ahead and play a doubleheader on Saturday, single game on Sunday. Although we should point out, or at least I should point out, that there's a 90% chance of rain in Sunday's forecast. Taking a look at your Sun Belt Conference standings right now, of course, the Cajuns lead the way at 14-0. ULM off to a nice start. The Warhawks scoring a lot of runs. Now, they scored a lot of runs early at the last part of last season, and not so much once they got to Sun Belt Conference play, but they are scoring runs right now. So they're off to a good start this year, as is South Alabama. South Alabama 11-3. They continue to be ranked in the top 25 in the country. Ferris Beard not pitching a lot right now for South Alabama. And, you know, that's one of the things, if you look at college softball nowadays, the older a pitcher gets, really the more less effective and injury prone they become. Obviously, there are some exceptions, but you look at really any school over the last 10, 15 years, the older a pitcher gets, and that's really because the more pitches that they throw, the less effective and more injury prone they become. Hopefully, Ferris Beard gets back to 100% and starts pitching well for South Alabama. That would be a big boost for the Jaguars. You got Georgia State right now at 7-2. I think Georgia State is a sleeper, not necessarily for the conference championship, but for a team that maybe can come out second, third place in the conference. They got a really good offense. The big question about Georgia State is, can they pitch? Can they play defense enough to win a few more games and maybe finish as high as second place in the conference? UT Arlington off to a nice start at 9-5. The Mavericks had a rough year last year, but again, off to a really nice start this year. They're not playing a top flight schedule, but then again, they didn't play a top flight schedule last year and they lost those games. They're winning them this year, so nice reverse of fortune for UTA. Texas State's a sleeper for a lot of people this year. They're 9-7, a little bit of a disappointing start for the Bobcats, but still, all in all, it's a good team. It's a good program. It's a program that won a lot prior to coming in the Sun Belt Conference. So that's a team that you should definitely look out for. Troy's 9-7 as well. Off to a pretty good start. I think if you ask the fans of Troy right now, they certainly would have taken a 9-7 start at the beginning of the year. Appalachian State is 5-6. Be honest with you, first year in the Sun Belt Conference, don't know a whole lot about the Mountaineers, but that's going to be a difficult place to travel to win games. And Georgia Southern right now at 2-11. Really no surprise. A lot of people thought that Georgia Southern would struggle this season. Of course, this weekend in Sun Belt Conference play, have Louisiana's Raging Cajuns obviously traveling to Tuscaloosa, Alabama to take on the Alabama Crimson Tide in that three-game weekend non-conference series. Other games coming up this weekend, we've got Texas State taking on SIUE coming up on Friday. Also, South Alabama will take on the College of Charleston in Charleston, South Carolina. It's going to be Appalachian State taking on Hampton. Troy will take on Colgate. Georgia Southern will visit Illinois. ULM will take on Idaho State. It'll be Troy taking on Alabama State, and ULM will visit New Mexico State. Of course, Sun Belt Conference action begins weekend after this one, the first full weekend of March. And, boy, what a start we have there, as Louisiana's Raging Cajuns will travel to Mobile, Alabama to take on the South Alabama Jaguars in a three-game weekend Sun Belt Conference series. That'll be a doubleheader on the Saturday and a single game on a Sunday. Two nationally ranked teams. What a way to kick off the Sun Belt Conference schedule. But again, I'm expecting a great year by the Cajuns, great year by South Alabama. I think that Georgia State and Texas State are sleepers, but all in all, I think it's going to be a very good year in Sun Belt Conference softball this season, and a good weekend ahead. Again, the Cajuns in Tuscaloosa to take on the Alabama Crimson Tide, a number of Sun Belt Conference schools, as a matter of fact, all of them in action. That's a preview of what's coming up this weekend with Louisiana's Raging Cajuns and the Sun Belt Conference. For ESPN1420.com, I'm Steve Peliquin.